How was that?
Not bad. Your other one was better.
It was kind of loud, quiet.
Here we are, second week of February.
He's
in
ignoring us
Ontario,
now. You saw that,
Canada,
right?
and it's 13 degrees Celsius. With a nice wind blowing today. And
balmy day here in Canada.
It was 17 driving through Toronto, so.
This is the Air Radio Music History and Trivia Show, the Top 40 Timeline Show on video. And it's where we have fun with music. We talk about trivial things. And
some stuff you know, some you don't.
That's right. And we're learning all the time. And you've been re-editing some of the stuff we're going to talk about because we're rehashing a lot of stuff now. We've been on.
Well, actually, no. Actually, I'm bringing up new stuff now.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There is some you'll see, but
there's stuff there. But we're brought to you by the Air Radio Network, which is us, Radio GTA, FM 108, and our local radio, Halton Hills Online. And with what happened in the Canadian radio industry this week, it's good to be on online radio and not mainstream radio anymore, where you and I are both from. It's a disaster. Run by idiots.
I saw that post that Mike Devine had put up regarding Bell Media. Now that was dated 2022. Did it just come into effect or something?
Well, no, they started it in. It's now they've got approval to do it. They've got approval basically to sell off these stations. Let go 9% of their personalities. That'll be going, and it'll be mostly FM guys. Yeah.
A lot of people losing their jobs in our industry, and it's disgusting the way Bell Media. You know what? What is it they do there once a year for mental health? Let's talk, Bell, about what a bunch of assholes you are up there in the bean
don't get me
counter
started. That's a whole other conversation.
All of them are.
Friends that have to support their families. That wonderful little tiny radio stations in the BC mountains and Ontario, the backwoods, the community radio stations are going to be hopefully sold. I don't want to be a big soapbox about this, but hopefully it's sold to small people who give a shit.
Yeah, I agree.
They want to run a community radio station the way it should be instead of networking this and networking that. It's automation's killing the industry.
Well, the automation's killing the industry. The internet's killing the industry.
So many things to choose from nowadays.
You think of the 70s and 80s, the only competition radio had was television.
That's right.
Well, now it's online and it's worldwide. So competition just went from here to here to here to
But it's like anything right now. I mean, really, when you look at the overall perspective of technology, regardless of what's playing out that way, everything is going to Wi-Fi.
Well,
in all aspects, not just radio, right? It's just it's the way it's going.
Even TV's got the competition now because you've got streaming services and stuff like that, Android boxes and whatever. That whole landscape has changed. And like I said to Big Daddy earlier on today, you imagine when television came out in mid 1900s, and what happened? Radio people must have been freaking out, and trying to adapt an actor from radio to TV was not easy. That was hard to do. There was a lot of actors that couldn't adapt to television. So certain shows that they took from radio, they used different actors on TV. So it's. We're going to see a lot of friends struggling and hurting, and we love you guys, and we wish you all the best.
Yeah, most definitely.
About that. All right, so what are we doing here? Am I starting it or you?
Give her.
Go for it.
Give her.
All right, so here's a few tidbits anyway. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot.
Paved paradise.
Hint. She sang on the Grammys a few days ago.
Yeah, it was last week or something.
Wasn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
the
last
Grammys
week.
Were great
last
this year.
week. 4 days ago.
Got a hair sticking up my nose.
One of Neil.
Herb.
Yeah.
Joni, there you go.
Joni Mitchell, right there. One of Neil's fellow Canadian musicians and a good friend of his from the folk scene, Joni Mitchell, has written her fair share of famous lyrics. Perhaps the best known are the ones she penned for Big Yellow Taxi, of course. Writing about her concerns with pollution and the environment, Joni explains, "I wrote Big Yellow Taxi on my first trip to Hawaii. I took a taxi to the hotel, and when I woke up the next morning, I threw back the curtains and saw those beautiful green mountains in the distance. Then I looked down, and there was a parking lot as far as the eye could see, and it broke my heart. This blight on paradise." The lines, "You don't know what you've got till it's gone," apply to a whole range of circumstantial circumstances beyond the destruction of the earth, helping the song becoming a universal favorite. That was her big one. But she had a whole bunch of great records.
Oh, God, yeah.
Joni Mitchell.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She, you know, it's. I love that picture. There was one floating around online not long ago, and it was her with Elton John. And it was just such a gorgeous picture. It was so cool. And being a huge Elton John fan myself. So,
is that the one where they're hugging?
They're just holding hands.
Yeah.
Standing there holding hands.
She's hugging somebody. I can't remember
Yeah,
who it is.
yeah. So
you don't need a professional ear to realize that the uncredited background vocalist on Carly Simon's 1972 smash, You're So Vain, belongs to the Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger. The secret is who the song is actually about, which
yes, that's gone.
It's not a secret anymore.
No, but it was rumors for so long, right?
It was. When asked how this collaboration happened, Simon said Jagger appeared or happened to call at the studio. I said, we're doing some backup vocals on a song of mine. Why don't you come down and sing with us? Perhaps, unsurprisingly, Jagger's name has been bandied about the song's subject, but Simon has kept it mum.
Yeah. I think it's Warren Beatty myself.
It is Warren Beatty.
It is, yeah. She finally did talk about it, and she finally admitted it and whatnot. But it was rumor for a long, long time.
But you got to remember too, she was in a relationship with him, and afterwards you don't bleed it over. So, anyways.
All right, moving on because this is a big one. 1948, Alice Cooper, born Vincent Damon Fournier on February 4th, 1948, in Detroit. The son of a pastor, obviously. Cooper moved with his family when he was 12, first to California and then later to Arizona, where the Fourniers lived in a trailer park. Cooper developed an early passion for music, and in high school he formed his first rock band. The group was first called the Earwigs, great tune, and later renamed the Spiders, covered bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Who, and who Cooper adored, obviously. After exhausting the local bar scene, the group moved to LA. By this time, they developed an angry, upfront, and dark sound, which critics initially abhorred it. They hated it. However, with Cooper as his engaging frontman, the music caught the attention of no other, Frank Zappa, who inked the young musicians to a record deal. And in '74, Alice Cooper, the musician, split off from his bandmates and took the name with him. A few years later, Cooper's life was also falling apart. Worn out and strung out, Cooper eventually ended up in New York's sanitarium, where he was housed with drug addicts and criminals. This time away allowed Cooper to become a born-again Christian and eventually discovered his obsession with golf, which he's hugely obsessed with, to regain his bearings, which is a great idea. In recent years, Cooper had reunited with the living members of his old band. In 2011, the group was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where they belong. Cooper continues to tour and record new music with his acclaimed sense of theatrically made perfect fit for the live television production of Jesus Christ Superstar, which aired on Easter Sunday, of course. And Alice Cooper is now 2018. Yeah, he's now 76 years old. So
he got a great radio show too.
Yeah, he was great on the air, man.
Oh, there's so much more I could put in there, but we don't have an hour per person. I have to condense it to some things that I might be able to get out and apprise people of,
This week in 1967, the Beatles filmed part of the promo clip for Penny Lane around the Royal Theatre in Stratford, London. And walking up and down Angel Lane in London is how they did it, together with the video for Strawberry Fields Forever. And this was the first examples of what later became known as a music video.
One of the first, the first.
2006, 2006, the Rolling Stones played 3 songs during the halftime show of the Super Bowl in Detroit. After the event, the Stones expressed their displeasure over having Mick Jagger's microphone turned down during the song Start Me Up. The line, "You make a dead man come," was cut short, and a barnyard reference to Cox in the new song Rough Justice also disappeared.
Yeah.
And here we go, Big Daddy.
But Janet Jackson's boob can come out.
No, you didn't do this one.
And before I go into this, I have a message. I have a message to you from my family, because I spent all last weekend walking around the house just out of the blue going,
Oh yeah.
and she said, let him know I won't say it on air. But
one of the worst.
Do not bring it up again because she is going to take control of that situation.
One of the worst earworms out there.
It is.
One of the stupidest funny songs.
But it happened to come up. That's why I started singing it.
But it does get stuck right in there, doesn't it?
So here's the tidbit. Okay. The Muppets are here to prove that the lyrics don't have to be about love, heartache, loss, or be in any way profound to be popular. It is one of the Muppets' most famous ditties, beloved around the world, and it was. I still love that video with the little guys sitting up in the
absolutely
seat.
I love those two.
Part. Me too.
Those are the voices I love to do.
They're amazing. So, beloved around the world, and it means absolutely nothing.
Nope.
Actually, a song written by Piero Umiliani for an Italian movie. It contains nothing, both nonsense words and scat singing. It just goes to show that sometimes successful lyrics simply need to sound good, becoming musical instruments in their own right rather than holding any special meaning. And it's pretty impossible not to sing along.
Exactly.
And by the way, Big Daddy has done this to me every Friday. I have gone home and I have had that stuck in my head off and on and off and on.
And it's going to happen again.
Which is why I have a family member who's ready to not only crucify me, but you. She's had enough.
Yeah. All right, being a big Van Halen fan, I love this story. Believe it or not, one of the world's most famous guitarists thought he could keep his performance on pop star Michael Jackson's 83 smash hit Beat It a secret, even from his bandmates. He didn't even talk to his bandmates about it. I watched an interview about this the other day. Eddie Van Halen decided to spend a half-hour recording in his now famous solo as a favor. He didn't get paid a dime for it. While the other members of Van Halen were out of town, I said to myself, well, who's going to know I played on this kid's record, right? Nobody's going to find out. Well, he was wrong. He said years later, big time wrong, and ended up being the record of the year. And he actually went out a couple of times.
They actually played live.
And played it live.
Yeah, there's quite a few photos.
He'd only heard a backing track of the song. Like, he'd heard very little, had no vocals on it, had nothing. And he just laid down the solo, sent it, and forgot about it. Like, just, oh, here you go. And turned out to be one of the biggest selling albums.
You get the big one now.
All right, Mom.
Yeah, man.
Robert Nesta Marley.
I just watched, before you go any further, I just watched Who Shot the Sheriff with Marley. It's about what he stood for and how things happen. It's not super long, but anybody gets to watch it. It's condensed in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
He was the pride of Jamaica, no doubt about that.
Still is.
Robert Nesta Marley, better known as Bob Marley. He was born on February the 6th, 1945 in St. Anne Parish, Jamaica. Marley's mom, Cedella Malcolm, later Cedella Booker, a native of Jamaica, was only 18 when she married a much older white man. Norval Sinclair Marley, who worked as a plantation supervisor, is who he was. They separated shortly after Bob's birth. And originally from East Sussex, England, Norval was largely absent from his son's life, and Bob talked about him in scathing terms.
And he was white.
Yeah.
Mama was black and Daddy was white.
Bob spent his early years in St. Anne Parish in the rural village known as 9 Miles, arriving in the Jamaican capital in the late 1950s. Marley lived in Trenchtown, one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. He struggled in poverty, but he found inspiration in the music around him. Trenchtown had a number of successful local performers and was considered the Motown of Jamaica. Sounds from the United States also drifted in over the radio and through jukeboxes, of course. And Marley liked such artists as Ray Charles, Elvis Presley, Fats Domino, and the Drifters. The couple shared 5 children and remained married until Bob's death in 1981. Despite his multiple extramarital affairs, and he fooled around on her a few times.
Oh, they both had an agreement. So you'll see.
Rita had traced herself and both tryst herself and both had children with other partners during the marriage. As they say, you grunt and bear the infidelity. That's what I had to do because I was so in love with this man and the love grew stronger. It's not that it grew weaker, she told the BBC. Caribbean.com back in 2004. Bob becomes the first international reggae superstar in 1975 when he adopts a more polished sound.
Yeah.
His stage show also becomes more dynamic and he develops a charismatic, shamanic persona that intrigues journalists who compare him to Bob Dylan and Mick Jagger.
He's a Rastaman.
Yeah.
I don't think Mick Jagger would be. I don't know why they're thinking about him along with Bob Dylan and him, but whatever. A breakthrough in his album Live, recorded at the Lyceum in London on July the 19th, 1975. The album captures his Rastaman vibrations and attracts many new fans who never knew they liked reggae. His fan base is remarkably diverse, as Marley's appeal is strong among black and white listeners. Right down the middle there.
I love it.
In ensuing years, rock acts like The Clash, The Police, Elvis Costello experiment with reggae, but Marley is clearly king of the genre. That's one of the great reasons I like The Police, is they're reggae-based.
They have a very, it was a very big influence. You can hear it in a lot of their stuff, right?
On the Moon,
Yeah. I've actually heard a guy do it reggae, full reggae style. Wow.
That's my favorite.
Wow.
I love
Cass
reggae.
Haley. Guy's name's Cass Haley. Check him out online. Does an amazing job on it. So.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse Bell.
Some of them.
1960 there, Leah.
1960, 27-year-old Jess Belvin.
Jesse.
Okay, Jesse.
Well, you're correcting me. I'm correcting
I
you,
just
baby.
knew him as Jess, but I guess I'm wrong.
Jesse Belvin.
I don't know, it's Jesse, okay. Who scored a 1956 hit with Goodnight, My Love, was killed in a car accident in Hope, Arkansas. His wife and car's driver also died of their injuries. The three were trying to make a fast getaway from their first ever mixed-race audience concert in the town of Little Rock after threats had been made against Belvin's life.
Yeah.
Such a sad
Very
story.
different time back then, boy. You imagine. I couldn't imagine all
No.
that. So do the next
Ronnie
one.
Hawkins had some wild stories about
Oh, I
those
bet.
early days when we used to sit and talk.
Can
He used
imagine.
to tell me about being. He got shot at by down in the southern U.S. He was with a bunch of black guys working.
Oh, in the southern states, I believe it.
And
Oh,
they
goodness.
Were shooting at
Oh,
Ronnie
goodness.
with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Take the next one.
Yeah. I was good, yeah. 1971, Led Zeppelin announced a small UK club tour, which would see the group playing universities and small venues with ticket prices at 12
shillings. That's awesome.
Which is 60 pence.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
No, of course
Believe me.
not. I know. Zeppelin manager Peter Grant said, "We decided to do the clubs and forget about the bread and the big concert halls." And that's 1971, so they were already formed. So that, can you imagine?
And, you know, you're starting to see some bands are starting to do that now. Like Dave Grohl, he's put a limit and a cap on his prices for tickets. You know, they need to start doing this, because I'm seeing some of these prices, like, who the heck was telling me they're going to see Metallica. If for 2 tickets, it was $900.
Well, and the thing is there's so many people, you know, you got to remember, these are your fans. These are the ones that got you where you are.
Exactly.
You know, so to overprice, what I see is overpriced. We don't know the back end expenses to that magnitude, but nonetheless.
Well, staging and lighting's all become so much more expensive as well. It's not just the band you're paying for the performance, the show, the lights, the sound, all of that stuff.
Again,
but
getting back to what I was saying is that, like I said, back end expenses are a whole different critter, but that being said, it still somewhat has some respect for those that have allowed to help you to pursue the career that you wanted. And many people cannot go to concerts now because
can't
it's
afford.
just out of reach.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, moving on here. One of the most famous TV and movie themes in history, the theme from MASH, which was the very first song I learned to play on the saxophone, by Johnny Mandel and Mike Altman, has also had one very unexpected lyricist. When director Robert Altman was looking for the song for the movie's characters to sing in one of the scenes, he told the songwriter Mandel that it had to be called "Suicide is Painless." Secondly, it had to be the stupidest song ever written.
A great piece of music.
It's an amazing piece of music.
Suicide is painless.
Altman tried to write the lyrics himself, but found it was too difficult for his 45-year-old brain to write stupid enough. Instead, he gave the task to his 14-year-old son, Michael, who, quite to the contrary, produced some of the most profound lyrics ever to come out of a 14-year-old. The famously More song was written from the point of view of someone considering suicide. Reflecting the pointlessness of war and the meaninglessness of life, the theme of the darkly comic story of soldiers facing the hardships of Vietnam made it all more poignant that the fact was written by someone so young.
It's okay.
Wow.
It's here. This is why I do both.
So, of course, you're listening or viewing the Top 40 Timeline Air Radio Music History Show. And I'm Big Daddy, and we'll just sit around for half an hour and talk about rock and roll.
Well, we like bringing you some of this stuff because it's...
We lose
Hold on. There's only one day missing. Hold on.
Got to get
it on Facebook.
A little bit bigger.
Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike is in the studio.
Unless you want to leave it. Well,
So what? You know what? We can cut a show short.
Because the next one was good, but that's okay.
Well, what's the next one?
It's today's. It was today's. There was only one left. There's only one more left, but you have to go to our events and information.
Yeah, I don't have that open yet.
I kind of, yeah.
That's
okay.
all right.
We'll let it go.
You know what? So what? So what? We don't always have to be a half an hour. We don't always have to be that.
We're done.
We're done. We're going to take off.
All right.
Why not?
Thanks for joining us this week, folks, with our 21 minutes of trivia this week.
Exactly.
And I'll use the Mike Devine chime.
Thanks for joining us, and have a great week, everybody. Be safe out there, and hopefully it's bright and sunny where you are.
Uniting community worldwide.
What she said.
Boogie, baby.